Brillium Workspaces enable an easy way to organize and manage assessments that share purpose and properties. They also allow administrators to create managed spaces for users and teams to work. Workspaces are flexible. They allow users to save time, simplify assessment management, and create new authoring and data analysis environments that deliver a range of benefits. At the simplest level, they allow assessment authors a way to organize assessments using a folder-like structure. Assessments can be organized by similar purpose, configuration attributes, language, time zone, and more. In the same way, workspaces can be used to group assessments as a means to control user access and privileges, providing a secure area for individuals and teams to collaborate. Assessments within the same workspace provide naturally segmented dashboard visualization and reporting. And most importantly, workspaces significantly speed assessment authoring workflow by applying common assessment settings and properties such as respondent field configuration, assessment UI settings, and assessment authoring defaults to all assessments created in the same workspace. For structured workflows, this saves significant development time and speeds subject matter expert review processes. Knowing how to use workspaces to your best advantage can pay off now and well into the future, reducing time, effort, and increasing overall efficiency. Workspaces apply in the following Brillium applications: Brillium Administration, Brillium Assessment Builder, Brillium Partner Central, and Brillium Talent. To help put all of this into context, we will work through an example that demonstrates workspace planning and application. The Brillium Administration application allows Brillium administrators to manage users, teams, and user roles. Users and teams use workspaces to determine user access and privileges. In simple terms, the areas that Brillium users may go and what they can do when they get there can be applied to individual assessments and workspaces overall. Let's look at an example use case. In our example, we create practice assessments for our Spanish-speaking vendors to use for compliance training. When they are ready, we will then have them take a certification exam to ensure they understand our policies and procedures. This is a lot of effort for any small team, so we will delegate the management of practice assessments to a team member. We'll call this team member Practice Manager. We want our Practice Manager to be able to create, edit, and manage the assessments and related result data for our practice assessments, so they can share the results with the Learning Development team in order to make further improvements to the training program and certification exams. Let's see how we can make this work. The first thing we will do is create a separate workspace for our Spanish assessments. To do this, we will select the Settings icon and select Workspaces from the drop-down menu. Here, we'll select the topmost workspace, referred to as the primary workspace, so that we ensure this new workspace is one level below our primary workspace. This will become important later because when we go to assign access privileges, we want other users to be able to access this new workspace and any new workspaces that will be created beneath this one. We'll call our new workspace ES-Assessments. Using a two-letter code will make it easier to find, and if we adopt this practice when creating additional workspaces, it will keep them organized alphabetically. We've already created the assessments we will be placing here, so we could start moving them to our new workspace now, but there are a few important things we recommend doing first. When creating a new workspace, it is a good practice to immediately configure the global workspace settings that will apply to all assessments in the workspace. In order to do that, we need to enter our new workspace, and we can see that we are currently in the workspace called Sales. We can change workspaces by selecting our new workspace and choosing Enter from the menu that appears. Respondent fields, assessment UI, and defaults are what we refer to as global workspace settings. This means that these settings apply to all assessments in a workspace automatically. In other words, Each assessment that we create or move into this workspace will inherit these global settings. This saves significant time because we aren't reapplying the same settings over and over each time we create a new assessment. The most important of the global workspace settings are the respondent fields. Respondent fields consist of the demographic information associated with a person when they take an assessment. Example respondent fields are first name, last name, and email address, but can include up to 20 additional fields to accommodate most any requirement. When a new workspace is created, Brillium automatically assigns respondent fields of first name, last name, and email address, but these are not necessarily required and can easily be changed to accommodate your specific needs. The only requirement is that one of these fields uniquely identifies each respondent. In the case of anonymous assessments, Brillium creates a unique field automatically for you. Respondent fields are important for a few reasons, but one of the most important is in reporting. For our purposes, we will stay with the default fields and add one more, called company name. When we're done, we'll see a series of fields like this. If desired, we could get more advanced and automatically populate these values into each field when the assessment is taken. But for now, we'll keep things simple. To create or modify respondent fields, we select the settings icon, then choose Respondent Fields. Here we see the default respondent fields of first name, last name, and email address. We can add up to 20 more, but we will add just one. To do this, we will select the Edit icon for Field 1. In our case, we want these fields to display in Spanish rather than English. So for display name, we will enter the Spanish equivalent of company name. This will be the label displayed in front of the field when respondents enter an assessment in this workspace. For requirements, we want to make sure that this field is never left blank, so we will set this field to required. Case preference will automatically adjust the letter casing of the respondent entered values if selected. Here we'll leave this at its default setting of as entered. For field type, we will also leave this to its default of as entered. This means it will accept whatever a respondent enters into the field value. To apply these changes, we'll select Save. Now that we have our respondent field set up, the next step is to change our assessment UI so that all of the text and button labels that display during an assessment will display in Spanish rather than the default English language. Brillium makes it easy for you to quickly customize the text and button labels that appear when an assessment is taken. We can do this by selecting the Settings icon, then choosing Assessment UI. We will then select the Translate button, select Spanish, Latin America, then choose Translate. We can now see that all of the text and button labels displayed when an assessment is taken will display in Spanish. If desired, we could further customize the assessment UI if we wanted to, but for now, we'll leave it as is. Defaults allows us to apply common assessment settings each time we create a new assessment. This makes the process much more efficient and ensures consistency when several individuals or teams are creating assessments within the same workspace. Often, when new assessments are being created, we use the same settings across several assessments in a series. For example, passing score, beginning instructions, and time limits can commonly be consistent across more than one assessment. Rather than enter the same settings over and over again, we can use defaults to apply common settings to all new assessments created in this workspace. It is important to note that we can always make changes to an individual assessment later. The purpose of defaults is to help us get a quick start on common settings while allowing full customization later. For our purposes, we will simply set a passing score of 75 so that all new assessments are created with a passing score of 75%. A final important note about defaults. When assessments are moved into this workspace from another workspace, the passing scores of existing assessments will not be changed. Defaults only apply to new assessments when they are created within this specific workspace. Now that we have our global workspace settings appropriately configured for our needs, we can move our assessments into the new workspace. To move assessments to a new workspace, select Assessments from the main menu. Search for the assessments, which in our case we named starting with an ES, so they're easy to find and identify. Select the checkbox next to each assessment, and the Actions menu above will become enabled. Select Change Workspace. Select the destination workspace from the drop-down that appears. Choose the Change Workspace button to complete the action. And now we are ready to start delivering our assessments. Workspaces are much more than simple organizational tools. They also allow us to save time, gain efficiency, and customize and secure the way we create, deliver, and analyze assessments in order to satisfy the needs of various respondent groups. While this affords us a lot of flexibility, there is still much more we can do with workspaces, and we encourage you to learn more at the Brillium support portal by visiting support.brillium.com.